for me, the last couple of years, I've really made it that my life revolves much more around writing songs again. Probably 80% of my time is doing that. And it presented what became a nice problem because there was a volume of material. Now, some of it sounded to me like it would have fitted with Simple Minds, but a lot of it sounded like it wouldn't fit. I liked what I was hearing, but it created a dilemma. What was I going to do? I certainly didn't want to start another band because I like the band I'm in, I love the band I'm in, and there's a lot more to come from the band I'm in. And I didn't want to do a normal blank Jim Kerr album, it just didn't get the creative juices going. So I had to come up with this concept, and of course the concept I came up with is Lostboy, and I don't think I'd be able to do that before now. The music itself was taking me back. There was a sense of nostalgia that was taking me back to a time and place. Not only a musical time and place, but a time and place within my own life period of when I was between 18 and 22. Obviously not quite a boy, but not a man either. And I started to imagine if that kid had access to the studio that I had access to the musicians, access to the equipment, what kind of music would he make now, given from what I could recall his passions? And all of that really came to me in the last year. I'd never, ever thought about doing anything outside of Simple Minds up until now. For me, there's a real mystery going on at the heart of the Lostboy sound, because on one hand, from early on in, there was definitely an element of the nostalgia, hence the name, and hence the idea that it was taking me back to the past, to my own past, but also back to the past in terms of the genre of music that I was listening to, post-punk, and the period before Simple Minds really took off. But at the same time, the album is very much a contemporary sounding record, and some have even said that it sounds like, futuristic music. So I think maybe there's some loop going on there, some mysterious loop, and of course everyone, when they listen to it, will come with their own perceptions, but I like when you get glimpses of feelings and glimpses of sensations. I mean, it wouldn't be enough to say it's a nostalgic record, because that would be pointless. You can't go back. You can maybe refer to an atmosphere that reminds you of the past, or you can refer to the idea of tomorrow. But I think I would like to think that Lostboy, the character Lostboy, is out in some limbo between past and future, and that's where we're going to take the music from. I can understand, with me having come out with a new Lostboy project, that many people might think, well, is this the end of Simple Minds, or does this mean a lesser Simple Minds? And in fact, that's not how it's going to work. I intend to grow Lostboy in parallel with Simple Minds over the next few years. I mean, Simple Minds will come with a new album every 3 or 4 years, and they'll tour extensively. It's the years in between where I really intend to grow Lostboy, and in fact, I'm already working on what will be the return of the Lostboy, the second album. I felt that I really wanted to cover a lot of bases with Lostboy. I mean, there's a huge part of me wanted to have great pop songs, really upfront pop songs, and I think the album starts off with the first 4 or 5 songs that are structured towards that. I think they've got great atmospheres, and I think although they're pop songs, they're edgy pop songs. But what I like is the album starts to develop the next 5 or 6 tracks. There's much more experimental. And indeed, it reminds me also of the music that I was listening to in this post-punk period, XTC, LA, Magazine, John Fox, Ultravox, stuff like that. It's been a big influence on Lostboy. And in fact, that even brings to question the whole idea of being influenced, and I'm pretty sure from what I read and hear, there's a fair amount of bands that have been influenced by the work that I've been involved in through the years. For a while there was no one mentioning Simple Minds, but hardly a day goes past now where people like the Editors, Kasabian, Franz Ferdinand, so on and so forth, are coming out and saying that they liked the genre of music that we were making and the genre of music that we were a part of. I knew from the first couple of tracks that we put together, I knew from the first sort of couple of songs that I wrote with Jez Code, the producer of Lostboy, that Lostboy was definitely born to play live, because I think the music is fantastically dynamic, and I like other things I've been involved in it in the past, I'm sure it'll come up another few gears when we play live. So I'm obviously looking forward to not only the release of the album, but within a week of the album release we do our first set of dates, and they really are back where we start. They're in the smallest rock clubs throughout the UK and indeed Europe, and of course that'll be a change for me, having been used to much bigger venues of the last decades. But I think Lostboy has to go and earn the stripes. He's got to go in at the bottom level and hopefully really blow people away, and I think it'll be quite a surreal experience for me, but also a surreal experience for people who have followed Simple Minds through the years, to see me in this tiny club. But what's more important is that they feel this really powerful music that I want to take around the world, and that I want to grow quick and artistically as much as I can over the next few years. I mean, as I sit just now, we're about 3 weeks away from the first Lostboy gig, and it's been a while since I've felt, I don't know if nerves is the right word, but a certain edgy excitement, probably is nerves, because I've never done this before. First of all, I've never played with these musicians. I've never gone on and played a full set of brand new songs. I mean, even in our early days, Simple Minds, our first gig we played 5 or 6 songs. But this will be 14, 15, 16 songs, never played live before. And also the fact that it's a new band as well. I mean, it's quite a challenge. But the goal really is to show the potential. I mean, great live bands only become great through playing non-stop and playing year on year and year. Obviously, Lostboy is starting from point A, so we don't have that. We don't have the time to get our chops together. We've got to hit the ground running. But I'm convinced that the potential of the project will come across equally as vivid live as I'm convinced it does on the record, and that is the goal. But I'm getting nicely nervous about it. That's just a fact. It's a red letter. I mean, to me, I think it's obvious that there's a kind of visible borderline when you listen to the album. I think there's 2 or 3 songs that could have been from a Simple Minds album. The rest of the songs, I don't really see it that way. And I think that's very normal, because unless I had gone to do a sort of, American songbook record or some world music project, that would obviously have been very, very different. But I was really going back to a period of music that in fact influenced Simple Minds themselves. So I think it's obvious that there would be a connection, or a quite deliberate connection. I mean, apart from being the voice of both projects. But I think the one thing is that whereas I'm really, really happy with the first Lostboy record, I also see that there's a lot of growth can occur. And it's going to take me 2 or 3 records for what I hope to be. When people hear it, they'll just say, that's Lostboy music. I mean, Simple Minds will always be there, but it's going to take 2 or 3 records to really evolve into its own distinctive thing. And I think that's fair enough, because even Simple Minds themselves took 2 or 3 records to grow something of themselves out of their, collective influences. I'm really delighted that we are releasing the album in various formats, because musical industry, the landscape of it has changed so much, but I knew when I grew up listening to records, you know, it was just the more the merrier. And I think just now when you see that, well, first of all, we really recorded a lot of stuff, a lot of quality stuff that was beyond just the normal amount you would expect for a CD. So there is that, but I think the kind of people who listen to our music, my music, they like the artwork, they like the bonus tracks, they like the remixes, they like the vinyl, they like to have the whole thing, and a project to me just does not feel complete unless all of these, you know, formats are there. Of course, the main thing is that every one of them has to be of quality within itself, but I think when you do that, it really adds up to sort of a fully fledged release. And in fact, we're already looking at going beyond that and maybe coming with a version 2 of the album later on. Throughout the last few months, there's been strange days where I get a feeling, even today, for instance, looking around the studio, it's empty, and I'm kind of thinking, where's the guys? Where's the guys that I've grew up with? Where's the guys that I've been playing with for the last decade who... It's strange not to have them around, and it was, for moments it was strange in the studio, for instance, not to look over and see Charlie Burchell, who's always been there when I've been working, and there were certainly a few moments where we really needed his talents, but I am really guilty of wanting my cake and eating it here. You know, Simple Minds are going to continue, and it's a great, great thing. But I was hankering for a sort of blank page. I was hankering for a new experience. I guess, you know, having celebrated more than 30 years together, maybe a little light went on in my head that said, great, great story, but is this the only story in life? Is there only one act? And obviously in my case I've decided that doesn't have to be. But that's not to say that I don't miss the guys. On the other hand, what I've also liked about the project is that we're very fast on our feet. Whereas Simple Minds would have 10 weeks in the studio to record, Lostboy would have 10 days. So in fact there wasn't really any time to miss anybody. We just had to get on with it, and you'll notice I say we because although this is called a solo project, in fact there's a great team who I work with. And I'm not going to leave one setup to come with a setup that's in any way lesser. So yeah, I miss the guys, but I'm working with some great new guys as well, and some familiar faces too. Mel Gaynor played on the album. He insisted on playing on the album when I at first thought it wouldn't be a good idea. He said, no, you got to use me, I'm the best. And he is the best. So he threatened me. Jess Code playing guitar is, you know, the guitar is one of the great strengths on the album. Has produced 2 Simple Minds albums. He knows how I work, I know how he works. So it was new, but it wasn't entirely new. But of course I miss the guys, but at the same time don't have too much time in my hands to really miss anything. I mean, it's so hard to believe that the relationship that exists just now with the new media can exist. In fact, quite a lot of people will get in touch with me on Facebook and say, it's not you. I know it's not you, it's someone else, but if it's the page I'm talking about, it is me. So no excuses there. But yeah, I mean, it is very hard to imagine. I mean, you couldn't have imagined this. Well, we didn't even imagine this on the last album with Simple Minds, to be honest. But it's something that we've grown, and I get excited, I think, as the fans do, the night before we're about to offer a free download, or you know, the feedback is, well, people really appreciate it first and foremost. And anything that's making you excited, anything that's encouraging you, and I suppose that's the point. Their encouragement is you know, crucial to your work. It really does inspire you to carry on further. So for me, the whole new media thing that's come up and the whole direct contact with the fans online is it's one of the greatest things that's happened. Germany have given us such fantastic support and seem to really understand what I was doing and what the band was doing. I obviously hoped that this would continue with Lostboy, and that's why I went first to Max Vaccaro at Adele, who within one day had listened to it and felt that it would be right for the markets there. And of course there are other places that have, similarly. Italy's been a place that's been a second home to me, and of course my real home in Scotland has always given us great support. But it's amazing how there's just some places you think this could work well, and that gave me a very confident feeling going into this.